Hello, dear students. Welcome to a new lecture on scientific writing, part number 6. I am Dr. Pervez Ahmad. In this particular lectures, we will have a discussions about 18 suggestions for writing good scientific paper. Now we will switch from journal scientific document towards scientific papers. But for as I mentioned, that today's the titles for today's lecture is that we will discuss 18 useful suggestions for writing a good scientific paper. So let's proceed towards today's lectures. That is, we will discuss one by one the suggestions in details for writing the good scientific paper. So let's proceed towards suggestion number first. The first suggestion for writing good scientific paper is you should know your audience and write for that specific audience. So what it means? It means that scientific and technical writing is never a journal purpose, but written for a specific audience. And who are those specific audience? That is the community who read a particular journal or study a particular subject. So you should focus on these audience. Along with that, you must adopt the style and level of writing that is appropriate for your audience. Study them as they are manifested in a selection of highly regarded papers and in the illustrations for the author for the key journal. So this is the point number first or suggestion number first for writing good scientific paper. Suggestion number two, be remember your supervisor or professor or your professor is not here to teach you the basic grammar and spelling. So what it mean? It mean that you should be careful. You should be careful about your grammar and your spelling. And be remember, normally you are a research students. So normally your professor or your supervisor help you to improve your grammar or your spelling while do the scientific writing, or he counter check your grammar and spelling and scientific articles which you have written in a past draft. So be remember, your supervisor, your professor will not always be there for you to help in grammar and spelling. You should do all the data by yourself. So the more time and emotional energy she or he spends on correcting the basic English usage, the less remain for the issue of the content or fine tuning. So you are responsible for mastering the basic of the language. This is very important. Without a good knowledge of the language, you won't be able to write a good scientific article. So with word processor and spell checker having become standard writing tools, typos or other spelling errors should be very rare, because normally the Microsoft Word they're offering the spell checker or sometimes even the sentence checker. So if you know about that, if you are expert in that, so the chances for the spell mistake or sentence errors is very rare in the modern version of the MS Word. Suggestion number three, do not turn and a first drop. So what it mean? It mean ever most people first drops are terrible. There are a lot of mistakes. You're unable to convey your exact idea. Maybe you think yourself that you are at the best, but unless it's not being verified by some of your colleagues or some of your co-authors, so please don't send it for publication. Try to revise it many times. So good writing is rewriting. That is, you have to do a lot of revisions until you finalize the draft. And you should make a serious effort at editing, rewriting, and fine tuning before you give the manuscript to anyone else to read. If you need to put a piece of writing away for a few days before you can approach it dispassionately enough to work it, do so. Why number four? Avoid abusing word form. It's very dangerous things. So what it mean? It mean use word in the form that conveys your meaning as clearly and simple as possible. It also the example of this means when we are trying to say or we are saying that avoid abusing words form. So the example is consider the sentence, the low rate of encounter was a reflection of population density reductions versus the low rate of encounters reflect a reduced population density. So now you can understand the difference in the two sentences. That's how you should modify, or you should rephrase your sentence. Point number five: do not use more word where fewer words will do the things for you. What it mean? It mean do not use long words where short ones will do. I mean, sometimes you use unnecessary long sentences or long words. So there are always short words or short sentences where you can convey, or with the help of which you can easily convey your message or your information. So try to avoid large sentences or large words, where you can do that with the short words. For examples, utilization versus use. I mean, you can use the word use instead of utilization, because utilization is the very heavy words, and it's difficult for to understand. In comparison to utilizations, the word use is very simple and easily understandable by most of the audience or readers. Similarly, instead of in order to, you can use simply to. I mean, in order to is very large, it's a phrase. So instead of that, you can use the word to. So do not use special words to make your writing seem more technical, scientific, or academic when the message is more clearly presented otherwise. So, point number six: use an outline to organize your ideas and writing. So, when you first start a writing project, make an outline of the major headings. So, let the key ideas to be covered under each heading. Organize your thinking logic and the logic of your argument at this level. Not when you are trying to write complete grammatical and elegant sentences. So separate out the three tasks of number one, figuring out what you want to say. Number two, planning the order and the logic of your argument. And number three, uh, crafting the exact language in which you will express your ideas. Point number six, think about the structures of your paragraph. Though most students can write reasonable sentence, a surprising numbers have difficulty organizing sentences into effective paragraph. A paragraph should begins with a topic sentence that set the stage clearly for what will follow. Make topic sentences short and direct. Build the paragraph from the ideas introduced in your topic sentence, and make the flow of individual sentences follow a logical sequence. Point number eight, or suggestion number eight: pay attention to tenses. I mean, this is very important because problems of inappropriate or inconsistent tenses are common in student writing. So what you or others did in the past should be stated in the past tense. I mean, that should be clearly understood. Let me repeat it again. So what you or other did in the past should be stated in the past tense. For example, data were collected. It's the past tense. If you're saying data are collected, so it should be wrong. So you should care about the tenses. So event or object that continue to happen or exist can be described in the present tense. For example, in this paper I examine the data project, the hypothesis that, I mean, so whatever tense you choose, be consistent with that. And along with that, be careful in using might, may, and would, as in this might indicate that they are frequently used as a way of whistling out of making a clear statement. So be careful while you are using might, may, and would. These words, I mean, should be especially clear while writing your scientific paper. Suggestion number nine: caption should not merely name a table or figure, they should explain how to read it. Be remember, a captions figure or table heading should contain sufficient information so that a reader can understand a table or figure. In most cases, without reference to the context, very simple tables and figures may require only a title for clarity. An exceptionally complex one may require references to the text for explanations. So, along with that, do not leave captions writing to the end of the project. Write captions when you organize your result section, and it will help you write the text. Suggestion number 10 is, when citing a reference, focus on the ideas, not the authors. That is very important, because unless the person who reported a result is an important point in a statement, literature citation should be parenthetical rather than in a body of the sentence. For example, growth rate of greater than 18 centimeter are common in population in Alberta, max 1982, rather than max parenthesis 1982 found growth rate of greater than 18 centimeter or 18 cm to be common in the population in Alberta. Suggestion number 11, show us, don't tell us. What it mean? It means that rather than telling the reader that a result is interesting or significant, show them how it is interesting or significant. So how is like that? For this, you should consider the example in which rather than the large difference in mean size between the population C and population D is particularly interesting, right? Mean size generally varied among populations by only a few centimeters, but mean size in population C and D differ by 25 centimeter. That is how, I mean, you should tell your audience, you should show your audience. I mean, you're not just only telling, rather you're showing that it's like that. So showing is better than telling the audience about what you are doing. Suggestion number 12, write about your results, not your table, figure, and statistic. So, confusing and disjointed result sections often arise because the writer does not have a clear idea of story she or he is intended to tell. So, when preparing to write your results, so the most important thing is that you should decide on the element of the story you wish to tell. Then choose the subset of the text, figure, and tables that most effectively and concisely conveys your message. After that, organize this subset of table and figure in a logical sequence, then write your story around them. Suggestion number 13 is, develop a strategy for your discussions. So just like you know that every research article have a discussion sections, so you should prepare a strategy for discussions. And be remember, many novice paper writer begins their discussion sections with a statement about the problems with their method or the item and the results about which they feel most insecure. Unless these really are the most important thing about your research, and which in which case you have problem, save them for later. Begin a discussion with a short statement of the most important point from your research. Use this statement to set up the ideas you want to focus on in interpreting your research and relating them to the literatures. Use subheading that structures the discussion around these ideas. And here you should note that upon one research and discussion sections. Suggestion number 14, introduction and conclusions are the hardest part of any scientific paper. So you should do extra care about while writing introductions and conclusion part of your research paper, because many technical writers prefer to write their introduction last. And what is the reason for that? Because it is too difficult to craft that balance of journal context and specific focus required for good introductions. So if you need to write the introduction first to set the stage for your own thinking, uh, resist the temptations to reflect it. The introductions will likely need substantial modifications by the time you have finished the rest of the paper. The same concern apply to the conclusion, abstract, and the summaries. So these components of the papers or all that many people will read, and you must get your message across in as direct traps and understanding a manner as possible. Suggestion number 15: break up large projects into small pieces and work on the pieces. Writing an analysis for any given paper is often an iterative process. So, writing the result sections of a paper is often the best way to discover the analysis and figure that still need to be done. Suggestion number 16: make your writing flow and resonate. So paper written so well that they flow and resonate are much more likely to influence your readers than the equivalent message presented in a form that is merely clear. So when you find a paper that succeed in this, study carefully how the authors constructed their argument and use language. So try to identify what makes the paper work so well. Suggestion number 17: use word processor effectively and back up your work religiously. So what it mean that you need not learn how to use all the more exotic features of your word processor, but learn the options that are available and how to find out the detail when you need them. So manually be familiar with the basic requirement for the document formatting and the basic operating system requirement. The same comment apply to the use of statistical packages, graphics, programs, and spreadsheets. The last and the suggestion number 18 is that take editorials comments seriously. I mean, in every documents, research documents, you have some editorials comment. So take those comments seriously. So it may be clear from an editor comment that they did not understand the point you were making. If so, that is a clear indication that you need to improve your writing. Also, an editor, no matter who they might be, has invested their time to help improve the quality of your writing. So, respect their investment. So, that's all we have for this lecture. Thanks for watching. See you in next lectures very soon. And that lectures will be again in scientific writing. But in this time, we will have a discussion on the structures of a journal paper. We will have a discussion on the scientific paper. We will tell the students or the scholars that how they should, structure their journal paper, what are the different part of the journal paper, and how each and every section of the journal or the scientific paper they are written. So stay tuned with us. See you and that lectures very soon. Till then, bye bye.